words begin.
In the early morning mist, I walk along the sunken lane, where the cows slip banks persist, sheltered from the western rains, spending weeks on foreign soil. Some internal push of peregrine, you make my footsore soul uncoil where roads begin. In the heavy heat of day, I tread the path beside the strand, where the rocks have lost their way in the shifting of the sand. Time with those who peddle words, days with jokers and with Jacobins. You soothe with sentences unheard where roads begin. In the later evening sun, I take the track which leads to home, where the rutted cambers run on my own but not alone. Princes, palaces and gold, praise and flattery are wearing thin. You look at me and worlds unfold where roads begin. In the broken blackened night, I follow streets which lead from sleep, where my thoughts lie out of sight, crumpled corners of the deep. All of England is in flames, feel the scorching reaching for my skin, you softly whispering my name where roads begin. We had a lovely tune, Amélie, from Richard and Barry, and it's all about France. And I love all the French chansonnières. People like, you probably heard of Georges Moustaki later on, but also people like Charles Trenet and Jacques Brel, though he's Belgian, and people like that. And I love that feel to it. And my wife isn't French, but nobody's dared to tell her that. And I didn't go to Oxford either, but apart from that, this is a very representative story of how we might have met. It's called In Paris. was born and bred in Montmartre, ancient drops of the Seine in her veins. He was English in Paris to read Sartre and to love before Oxford again. Sunday morning, the left bank in splendor, Notre Dame, sparkling river below. He sat quietly, feeling lonely and so tender, when she stepped out of Shakespeare and Co. Brown-haired girl cycle gleaming, graceful woman of France, unaware that his dreaming may have prompted this chance. Tense approach was soon broken by laughter. Her small English, his smaller French. Wordless looks passed between them, and then after they spoke love on the Place Dauphine bench. Such a day in Parisian wonder, sharing crêpe in the Place Saint-Michel, holding hands in the boat as it sailed under Montmartre, to the night as it fell, unaffected yet knowing. She wove her Gallic spell. His reserve was still showing, English shyness and shell. In the evening they walked in the lamplight, climbing steps in the steps of the greats, close together, taking shelter in the damp night as the rain spattered cobbles and slates. Polished brass, wooden chairs in the bistro, steaming dishes of moule marinière, gourmet food growing colder as they kiss so long, ignoring all the boulevard stairs. Tastes of butter and baking, melting as their mouths met. He could feel his heart breaking as her eyes became wet. Through the alleys they raced between showers, smells of Gauloise and sirens on the streets, watching stars from Sacré-Cœur for several hours, till she led him under gables and sheets. As the sun rose he looked over rooftops. How could rain seem as perfect as this? He was there where avoidance of the truth stops was his life, or just a moment of bliss. She lay still in the morning. Was there only this chance? Should he heed all the warnings, or stay love-locked in France? Elle est née, a grandi à Montmartre, ancienne bout de la Seine dans le corps. Il était entré à Paris pour lire Sartre pour l'amour, puis à Oxford encore. Elle est née, a grandi à Montmartre. Elle est née, a grandi à Montmartre. sang that in a folk club in Wiltshire. I won't mention the name in case you know which folk club it is. And at the interval, I was doing 2 sets, and at the interval, the biggest man I've ever seen stood up at the back and came towards me, and he was, 6'10", and he had grey hair, long grey hair, tied back in a ponytail, which went down there, and in front he had a big, long grey beard, which went past his belt, and he walked up to me, and I thought, oh no, because I do have trouble with the English Folk Dance and Song Society paramilitary wing. And they come up to me and they say, "Excuse me, are you in the tradition?" just write songs. Anyway, he came up to me and he said, he said, "That there song about Paris, yeah, that was the most erotic song I've ever heard." So I know which type I appeal to. Okay. This is another song about Devon. It's I live on we live on, my wife's here, so we live on the River Otter, which goes to East Devon. We live in a place called Otterton, and it's a lovely river. And across the river, there's a village called East Budley. You may have heard of Budley Salterton. East Budley was the original town. Budley Salterton is a newcomer from about 1,500 years ago. And the River Otter now is a small river, but it used to fill the whole of the Otter Valley, so it's about 1/4 of a mile across. And we don't get on with the people from East Budley. And we haven't got on with them for 500 years. And the reason is that the Otter used to be a big river, it used to be navigable, galleons came up, and we have a hill behind the pub called Anchoring Hill, which is where they used to. We're 2 miles from the sea, and the village green used to be the harbour. But anyway, 500 years ago, the girls of Otterton were famous for being the most beautiful in Devon. Unfortunately, the boys of East Budley were famous in Devon for being the best swimmers. And they used to come across and pinch our women. Since then, can't stand them. Anyway, this is a song dedicated to the River Otter. It's called "The Otter Flows." Tied along her flanks, the red earth rises to the hills. Bright along her banks, the springtime dash of daffodils. From her northern source, she fumbles to the valley floor. Promenading course to rumbling surf and coastal roar. Here for ages she has shaped her landscape, somehow constant, somehow different. As the saying goes, reflecting and remembering, the otter flows. Celt and Saxon fought across her as the nation formed. Mingled blood and water lost to generations more. From the surface let the rain go back of spawning trout. Slick with salmon crept the poacher, putting snares about. Skimmed by dragonflies and split by heron, throwing back the summer skies, burnishing the autumn shows, reflecting and remembering the otter flows. And it's by her in the evening I can sit a while, as the sun begins to dim and turn her gold. Through the willows to the spire, from this ancient style, I can watch and wonder back to tales untold. The otter flows. Ghosts of masted barks make creak and swing by anchoring hill. Post-held ox and carts with leaking sacks from water mills. Though these days have gone like crumbling piers and rotting planks, so she may race on through tumbling weirs and reeded ranks. Now the shouts are those of well-shod walkers down the well-trod paths beside her, as her water wisdom grows, reflecting and remembering the otter flows. And it's by her in the evening I can sit a while, as the sun begins to dim and turn her gold. Through the willows to the spire, from this ancient style, I can watch and wonder back to tales untold. The otter flows. I was having lunch with my daughter in the city of London a few years ago, and it was a November day and it was all grey and the clouds were low and dark grey, and it was raining and the rain was running down the buildings and concrete and turning it grey and splattered on the road and the puddles. People running, all in grey suits, grey hair, grey faces, and grey expressions. Oh, and I thought, when they were at primary school and their teacher said to them, "Well, Philip, what would you like to do when you grow up?" Is that what they thought? Is that really what they thought? So this is a song about all the people who'd rather be doing something else. And it's called Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown sets off for town, 7:10, he's late again, in the crush, the morning rush to cross the Thames, and past Big Ben, sitting down, he starts to frown, mounting miles of office files, working through the business glue, of COVID mails, his patience fails, he would like to be in the sea, crashing through the stormy dark. As a trawler captain, he would risk his life each day at work. Mrs. Gray begins the day by sitting tight at traffic lights. She's been here and not changed gears since it was sleepless night, and wants a fight. In the shop she starts a strop, waves a knife at the boss's wife. She walks out and thinks about swapping strife for another life. In the big tall nightly with the grease paint and the sawdust floor, dressed in baggy trousers and a nose as red as her front door. Their broken dreams lie scattered on the floor, their token schemes are battered down. What life is for. William Frank heads up a bank, he's solved the hitch, survived the glitch, turned things round, regained the ground. But life's a bitch, what a stitch. In he sent, or was he sent at 17, went fresh and lean. Life's now died, he's in the mud, he's changed to mean and not quite clean. He makes the rich ones richer, including number one, of course. Where's the easy rider of his youth, a life upon a horse? Sheila Scott knows what is what. Key stage 3 geography. She's been here for 30 years, a real queen bee, unhappily. Barbed retorts, unkind reports, the children who believe they're true. It hits her that she's bitter about things she didn't get to do. Tubes of colour squirting over canvas in pursuit of art. Spending days in painting is a place where she has lodged her heart. Their broken dreams lie scattered on the floor, their token schemes battered down. What life is for. Bishop Drew vacates his pew, and leave a song, it won't be long. Hang up his crook, take his pension book, perhaps they're gone, it can't be wrong. In the church they daren't besmirch his unbelief, resulting grief. He has tried, sometimes cried into his handkerchief with scant relief. He will leave behind a ritual liturgy and ballyhoo, move away to Margate and start life again as Mrs. Drew. Thank you. As I was playing that, I was thinking of weren't Richard and Barry fantastic in the first? Richard's playing of the accordion was just phenomenal. I thought it was really evocative and beautifully melodic. And Barry, didn't we all want to be a percussionist?
I'm sorry, we have to go because we need to catch a bus. You're excellent, you're very good.
Thank you very much.
Your show, we're not going to teacher.
That's fine, thank you very much for coming.
It's our bus, we have to reach out. I don't think anyone will pick us up. Right, let's go get some rest.
Thank you. So I was thinking about Barry because in that last song, I don't know if John put this in the advertisement, but I used to play when I was at school and at university, and then gave up for 35 years. And then we went to see somebody play, and I turned to my wife very arrogantly and said, I'm sure I used to be better than him. And quite correctly she said, well, prove it. So I then picked up the guitar again and started playing, and things seemed to go well. And I took 3 weeks off work and suddenly wrote 20 songs in 3 weeks, and somebody heard them and told someone else. And then I was introduced to a music producer and whatever. Anyway, he said, we've got to make a CD of these songs. And I was in the studio, and he produced this band of all-stars. And the drummer was Jerry Conway from Fairport Convention. And he's the only one I've seen doing stuff like Barry, producing things out of pockets and hats and things, and shaking them and wiggling them, and I was just sitting there. And there was Phil Beer from Show of Hands playing violin, and Spencer Cousins, who's the music director of Joan Armatrading, on piano, and there was me banging into microphones and tripping over cables and not knowing a thing that I was doing. So that was a big memory for me. Anyway, since then, I played for a couple of years. The album went well, played for a couple of years, and then reality hit and I had to go back to the day job. And then in COVID, I had another chance and wrote a load more songs, and now I've got 3 albums out, and they're over there at the end if you want to look at I wasn't intending to say that, but anyway, they are over there. And now, so welcome to my retirement job. This is, some people go on cruises, I go to Gateshead. And all the sticky floors and outside loser folk clubs, and it's lovely. I think it's brilliant. I'm having a great time. Hope you are. I'm having a great time. So this song is a little bit about that. It's Laurie Lee inside of the Rosie wrote that when he was moved from the infant class to the junior class at his village school, he was shocked, and he discovered that he was a natural infant. For me, that's aspirational. I'm a natural preschooler, and this is a song about before school and then after school, and how things can change in your second childhood. It's called Racing for the Trees. I've got a bell accompaniment. Long ago I would go playing in the wildwood just behind our house by the red sandstone hill. No obsessed, never wed in my thoughts of childhood. The sun was always shining and I was never ill. Days were long, dads were strong, mums were always baking. Morning's just the start of more adventures to be had. Scaling trees, scraping knees, life was for the taking, the world was for exploring. When I was a lad, I had no need of any structure or guide. I had all the plans of my own, finding better places to climb and run and hide, spending days in lands both undiscovered and unknown, hidden streams, unlived dreams, rocks with secret hollows, meadows where the grass hid all the afternoons we spent, wishing wells, fairy dells, skies with swifts and swallows, woody basin dips, filled with laughter and content. Couldn't last, wouldn't last, soon arrived our school days, uniformed attendance and a uniform despair. Scrubbing knees, smelling bees, regimented rule days, play was now restricted to a timetabled affair. I was somehow trapped between the pages of a textbook, caught within a spider's web of tears, hoping to avoid the scary teacher in her next glow, dreaming of the woods and sparrow's nest. Lesson bells, dinner smells, eggs to hang our coats up, morning milking crates waving silently their straws, paintings hung, tables sung, grammar learned by rote. But suddenly the world was somewhere out beyond those doors. Off at 3 I was free, flinging off my blazer, dashing down the lane to leave a strict and structured place. Socks unhitched, satchel ditched, pencil and eraser left within the darkness at the bottom of my case. I left the schoolroom and lessons at my back, shouting brief hellos as I passed by, running down the road to where our garden met the track, leading up the hillside, through the forest to the sky. Time has passed, old at last, I can still remember the feelings of freedom that I had before the school, joy that I had in July, sadness in September, summertime the only time that I was free from rule. Today in a strange way I'm getting there again, after all the years of liberties. Time has loosened tethers and opened doors, so then suddenly I'm free once more and racing for the trees. My late mother used to say to me when I was playing as a school kid, your songs, they're very lovely, love, but they're so miserable. So I thought, when she was getting to the end of her life, I came up with this sort of fast ragtime tune, and I thought, oh, this will cheer her up, and I put some words to it. And when I looked down at what I'd written, the words, it was all about impending doom. So failed. So if you want to be cheered up, listen to the tune, and if you want to be really miserable, listen to the words. It's called 2 Steps from Safety.